This video will go over the setup for the water frame game. The rulebook has predetermined setup, but we will go over the general setup. Return the advanced action marker Stock Exchange to the box. In a two-player game, remove the following from the game: Navigation Acts, Economic Crisis, Hamburg Credit Crisis, and Opium War events, the economy markers with the red 3s, 2 sets of light and dark gray action markers, and all the ships with capacity above 2. In a three-player game, remove the following from the game: 1 set of light and dark gray action markers. Place the game board on the table and put the time token on the 1760 space. Put the end of game event marker face down on the last event space. Put the special marker mat with the water frame side face up near the board with the time token on the 1 space. Put the ships on their appropriate spaces. Shuffle the light gray action markers and put 1 marker face up on each spot of the light gray spaces on the special marker mat, according to the number of players. Do the same with the dark gray markers. Return the leftover markers to the box. Put the Charisma and 1 Inventor Developer tile next to the special marker mat. Shuffle the rest of the development tiles and randomly draw 26 more in a 4-player game, 19 in a 3-player game, or 12 in a 2-player game, and place them face up next to the special markers mat. Stack identical tiles, and if there are as many identical tiles as players, remove the last one and draw a replacement. Put the rest of the tiles back in the box. Put the Bureaucracy event marker aside and shuffle the rest. Put 1 event marker face down on the 1800 space, and shuffle 2 more with the Bureaucracy event marker, putting those 3 face down on the other event spaces. The rest of the events aren't used in the game. Shuffle the economy markers by good type and place 1 on each appropriate space face down on the board. The rest aren't used. Put the 4 black neutral importer tokens on each 0 space of the market share table. Place 1 worker on each space of the job market. Remove workers from left to right, top to bottom depending on the number of players. 4 workers in a 4-player game, 8 in a 3-player game, and 12 in a 2-player game. In a 2-player game, 8 of those workers are removed from the game. The rest of the workers go to the fired workers space. Put the money, goods, and machines in piles next to the board. Workers are limited to the supply, but money, goods, and machines are unlimited. Each player gets a player mat, a set of factories, 4 distribution and quality markers, and the following of their color: 8 cubes, price and appeal indicators, a share indicator, the 6 action markers, and 15 shares of stock. The other 15 shares of stock begin in the bank. Each player also gets a harbor mat and 1 of each contract marker. In a 2-player game, the harbor mat is flipped to the 2-player side. Each player puts their 4 price indicators on their player board next to the price scales, their 4 appeal indicators on the 0 space of the market share table, and their share indicator on the 10 space of the share track. Randomly determine a start player and give them the start player token. Now players will build their first 2 factories and sell stock to get their starting money. You can use the predetermined setup in the rulebook, or players can choose for themselves. Move the timetable indicator to the first foundation space. In player order, players choose a level 1 factory to build. To build a factory, take it and place it on your factory mat. The quality of the factory is the same as the price shown here, but you don't pay for the factory until the end of the round. Take workers from the job market to fill the first 2 production columns of that factory, indicated by the symbols beneath. Whenever workers are taken from the job market, they're taken from left to right in each row, starting with the top row. After you build the factory, determine the selling price by placing the price indicator on the price scale. Then move your appeal marker to equal the quality minus the price. Once everyone has built a factory, move the timetable indicator to the second foundation space. In reverse player order, players build a second level 1 factory following the same steps. Each player can only have 1 factory of each good type. Move the timetable indicator to the stock exchange space. In reverse player order, each player sells some of their 15 shares to the bank at £10 per share to get startup capital. Each player has to sell at least enough to pay for their starting factories. After you sell shares, you can take a special marker, either a light gray action marker or a ship from row 1 of the special markers mat, or 1 of the development tiles. Move the timetable indicator to the paying for factories space. Each player pays their factory costs to the bank using their startup capital. Then move the timetable indicator to the 1770 decade space and begin the game. At the beginning of each cycle, move the timetable indicator to the next space, which indicates what good is active. Flip the economy marker over. Advance the neutral importer marker of the active good, the number shown on the economy marker, in black. Also return the number of fired workers shown in red from the fire workers space back to the job market from right to left, bottom to top. If there aren't enough workers in the fired workers space, return all of them. At the end of the first 3 cycles in a round, the starting player token passes clockwise, then start the next cycle. At the end of the 4th cycle, go to the end of the round phase. When the round ends, all players receive their played action tiles back. Players pay the wages for the workers in the warehouse and ships according to the current market price. After paying workers on ships and warehouses, you can fire as many as you want, putting them in the fired worker space. If you fire workers from a ship, you need to return the ship to the special marker mat. If your warehouse cannot hold goods anymore, you need to return them. Then the event marker is flipped and resolved. The player who has the least valuable stock portfolio, determined by the number of owned shares times the price of the shares, determines the new start player. If tied, the player with less cash determines it, and if there's still a tie, the player who sits farthest from the current start player determines the new start player. At the beginning of decades 1790 and 1810, some factories become obsolete, indicated here. In each factory that is obsolete, the player must hire 2 workers from the fired worker space, placing them next to the factory. If there are not enough workers in the fired worker space, then hire from the job market. If there are not enough workers left, the available workers are distributed among the factories in turn order, beginning with the start player. If the player has multiple obsolete factories, start with the uppermost factory. For each worker that could not be hired, the player needs to pay £5 to the bank. When the timetable indicator reaches the end of game event marker, everyone takes a final stock exchange action, selling any remaining goods in the warehouse at the fixed prices and buying any of their stock. The brown tiles are development tiles. You get these when you get the extra action to take a special marker. You can only have 4 development tiles at a time, but you can switch them out when you take a new one. You cannot have 2 of the exact same tile. Most development tiles are passive abilities. If they have this red star, it is a one-time use action, so you return the tile to the supply once you've used it. If you have the charisma tile, you win ties when determining who sold the most goods and who had the most appeal during production, so you'll go up in stock even if tied. Also, you can return the tile to determine the new start player at the end of a cycle or the end of the round. If this is done, neither you nor the new start player can take the charisma tile during your next action. The inventor lets you modernize a factory or get an advanced action marker or ship at a level higher than the current one. When you take the inventor tile, you must pay £5 to the bank. After you use it once, you can either return it to the supply or pay £10 to keep it. After the second time, it's £15 and then $20. If you use it 4 times without returning it, then you must return it. Taking a special action and modernizing a single factory beyond the current level each counts as one use of the inventor. You cannot build a new factory with the inventor. You have to build at the current level first and then modernize with the inventor. When you do the factory action and have this tile, you reduce the cost of building or modernizing each factory by £5. Each factory can only use the developer once, even if you're modernizing it multiple times with the same action. The developer and inventor don't stack. You cannot get a discount to modernize a factory beyond the current level. If you use the developer, you must return the tile to the supply after the action. If you have the administrator, you can use the £2 row of the administration chart even after the bureaucracy event is out. Also, when you reuse an action, you do not pay the additional £2 fee. With the accountant, you can raise or lower the administrative costs by up to £2 when you place your action markers. The actual amount you pay with the £2 modifier counts towards the effectiveness of the actions for distribution, quality, and so on. The extra fees for reusing an action still don't count towards the action. Normally, the maximum quality marker is 4. The engineer raises the max to 6 for all your factories. Even if you discard it, you will keep whatever levels you obtained while you had it. Also, you can choose the administrative costs when you do the quality action, no matter where you place the marker on the administration chart. The patent can only be used as part of the distribution action. You can do one of 2 things: add £2 to the administration cost for free to use towards the distribution advancement, or return the tile to the supply to increase 2 distribution levels, no matter what level they are. If you return the extra shifts, one of your factories can produce 1 extra good during the production phase or during your production action. The small warehouse lets you store up to 5 goods tokens without using the large warehouse. You store them on the right spaces of the price scale of the corresponding factory. You can move goods between warehouses at any time. If your price is set so that there aren't enough price spaces to the right of it, you cannot store those goods. There are 4 patron tiles. They count as different tiles, so you can have multiple. Each one allows you to sell 1 extra good of the indicated type during the production phase, regardless of your appeal. These sold goods go towards the count for share value increase at the end of the phase. If you have the engineering works, you get £1 from the bank for each machine another player buys, but not for your own machines. If you have the school, when you use the machinery action, any workers you replace can be moved to another production column, a different factory, or the warehouse instead of to the fired worker space. You cannot replace these moved workers with machines in the same action. Additionally, you can shut down the highest operating production column of a factory during the production phase. It will not produce any goods, and you will not have to pay the workers and machines for that column. This tile's effect only applies to one factory, so you place a good token on the factory you choose to indicate that. When you pay wages for that factory, worker wages are lowered by £2 each to a minimum of £1 each for up to 4 workers. Instead of taking a special marker extra action, you can move your foreman to a different factory. The workshop gives you £3 extra administration cost for free when you do the machinery action. Additionally, you pick one factory for the workshop to effect and place a goods token on it. When you pay wages for that factory, your machines cost £1 total, no matter how many machines are in that factory. You can transfer this to another factory instead of taking a special marker extra action. This allows you to fulfill all your contracts at plus or minus 1 good each. When you have this, you get an extra £5 whenever you ship and fulfill at least 1 contract, either in a shipping action or during the production phase. The extra is once per action, even if you fulfill multiple contracts or use multiple ships. The broker lets you do a shortened stock exchange action at the end of each decade after the event happens. You can sell stored goods at the fixed price, and you can buy or sell shares. Additionally, you can return the broker to the supply instead of taking a special marker additional action and then buy up to 2 shares at half value, the total rounded up. At the end of each round, an event marker is flipped and resolved, affecting all players. The bureaucracy event marker is in every game. This blocks the £2 row of the administration chart for all the players for the rest of the game, unless they have the accountant development tile. The end of game marker is always the last event. Each player does an abridged stock exchange action, selling goods from their warehouse and buying shares. When War of the Continent is revealed, each player raises the distribution marker by 1 level in each factory and raises the price by £1 so appeal stays the same. If distribution is already at 4, then don't raise the distribution or the price. The Crown Jubilee event is like a patron. In the next decade, each player can sell 1 additional good of any type during the production phase. This event lets everyone take a special marker, starting with the starting player and proceeding clockwise. With Made in England, starting with the start player and going clockwise, each player gets 1 distribution level. This is repeated, so everyone ends with 2 distribution levels. Appeal is adjusted accordingly. If a player is already maxed out on distribution, they get no benefit. The Royal Society gives each player £4 per level in their most advanced factory and £2 for each of their development tiles. When Navigation Act comes out, move all the importer tokens back 2 spaces in the next round, but not below 0. Then move the event marker to the event space of the next round. When the timetable indicator reaches this, all the importers advance 2 spaces. For the Hamburg credit crisis, each player pays the bank 10% of their cash, rounded up. In player order, each player must remove 1 machine from one of their factories and replace it with a worker from the fired workers space. If you have no machines, you're not affected. If there aren't enough workers in the fired workers space, take from the job market. If there aren't enough, then machines are replaced until the workers are gone. The Opium War event affects the next round. The capacity of all ships is lowered by 1 for that entire round. At the end of that next round, each player loses a ship of their choice after they pay for their ship crews. If you don't own a ship, you're not affected. The recession causes each player's share value to go back 2 spaces to a minimum of 0. When social unrest is revealed, each player must pay £1 for each worker he has. Threat of strike affects the next game round. Each worker's wages is raised by £1 for that decade. When the World Exhibition event marker is revealed, remove 4 workers from the job market, or the fired worker space if there aren't enough, and return them to the box. They're removed from the game. If there are fewer than 4 workers in the job market and fired worker space, remove them all. Here, move 5 workers from the fired worker space back to the job market. If there aren't enough workers, move them all.